like to thank the Latino Tax Pro for organizing this event in collaboration with BMO Bank. Before we do get started, I wanted to do a quick introduction for myself and my colleague that's here with us. That way you guys get to know who we are and then the topics that we're going to cover before we jump right in. So my name
Yeah,
is Angel Pastrana.
Angel,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, no worries. Before you get started, I just want to let everybody know as well. First of all, thank you everybody for joining us who are in the Zoom platform. We're also streaming live in via Facebook, uh, um, uh, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Sorry, my mind went a little blank. That's probably I need that 2 p.m. coffee right now. So, as everybody, thank you everybody for joining us. Hopefully, everybody had a great tax season and definitely have a lot of questions and are looking for more resources and ways to help improve your business solutions. This is why we have today Angel and Jorge Padilla from BMO. You may have seen the commercials. I know I have as a BMO. Right?
Yes,
Angel
yes, it
and
is.
Jorge. Yeah. So I think it's amazing that you guys have all this great information for available for all of us. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about credits and a little bit meaning more of like that personal credit, your credit score. That's what Angel is going to be talking about, and Jorge has also a great topic going on today. As you all know, my name is Vicente with Latino Tax Pro, sales manager, and I'm going to have Jorge introduce himself first, since your presentation goes first. Angel, is that cool?
My presentation goes first, so I can get started and then I'll pass it on to him.
Alrighty, yeah. So let's get started.
Thank you. So yeah, once again, everybody, my name is Angel Pastrana. I'm the Senior Regional Manager for BMO's Zero Barriers to Business program. Um, I cover all of California and the mountain states, so a total of 7 states. And I'll go over the topics that I'm going to be going over today are the following. So zero barriers to business. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the program that I run here. And I'm also going to go over understanding personal and business credit. George, on to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for having us here today. We're excited to be here, share a little bit of what our knowledge is regarding the topics, and hopefully there's some valuable insight that we're able to provide you guys today. I'm going to be covering, just so you guys are aware, just the demystifying the lending process, just kind of providing a little more insight as to kind of what the banks look at when someone is applying for a loan with their business. And then lastly, it'll be the different financing options that are available through BMO Bank and then most other institutions as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jorge and Angel. Before we get, or as Angel gets ready to give out his presentation, we do want to let everybody know that if you have any questions, we're going to be answering them at the end of the presentation. You can also use, if you're using here the Zoom platform, use the Q&A so we can make sure we can keep track of the questions and answer them as they're coming in. If you're following us from any other platform, go ahead and submit them in the chat box and I will read them out to Angel and or Jorge, and we'll answer them accordingly as well. We'll try to get to as many questions as possible, unless Angel and Jorge here do an awesome job in explaining everything very, very thoroughly. So
Awesome.
without further ado, Angel, screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Vicente. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get started here. So again, my name is Angel Pastrana. I'm the Senior Regional Manager for BMO's Zero Barriers to Business. Below you will find my contact information as well. At the end of the presentation, I do have a QR code, which is specific to me. So if you guys do have any additional questions, you guys can just scan that and request for a follow-up as well. So before we do get started, I want to, who is BMO and what is BMO? So here's just like the purpose of BMO, but I wanted to give you guys a quick little rundown, since obviously, like Vicente mentioned, there's a lot of commercials that have been going around. However, I just wanted to give everybody a quick rundown on what BMO is. So BMO is currently the 8th largest bank in North America on assets, and this comes from the acquisition of Bank of the West. BMO's been around for over 200 years, and it's a Canadian bank. It started as Bank of Montreal, and it has then since, came over to the United States. It started as a Midwest bank in Chicago. And since back in September of 2023, that's when the conversion was finalized for BMO and Bank of the West. So in every Bank of the West branch that you guys have seen around, at that day and point, it became BMO Bank branch. So through our coverage, I just wanted to say, so we're in over 32 states, and we have 1,000 branches nationwide. And I live here in California and downtown in Los Angeles. So for California as a whole, we have 223 branches, just to give you guys a perspective of our reach that we have as well. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and get started here with the Zero Barriers to Business presentation for you all. So before I do get started with that, so Zero Barriers to Business is a program that was developed through our BMO Empower. And recently, with the acquisition of Bank of the West, BMO Empower 2.0 was created, which is a community benefits plan, which is to take care of the expansion of a 32 state footprint. So through that, there's a lot of, there's a $40 billion commitment that's being allocated to residential mortgage and LMIs, community development loans and investments, community assets and resources for women and minority business owners, and, philanthropy. But the one I want to focus on is this $16.5 billion that was allocated for small business lending. So Zero Barriers to Business is a program that falls under this $16.5 billion that's for business lending. Zero Barriers to Business is a program that was developed before and throughout the pandemic to make sure that there was, access to capital, education, and resources for small business community, specifically speaking with Black-owned business, Hispanic and Latino-owned business, women-owned business, and Native American-owned business. So out of this allocation of $16.5 billion, our program originally received $100 million of investment for these minority groups. Since inception of the program back in 2020, our second tranche has been of another $200 million, which brings us to a total of $300 million of investment within the bank, so that we can really help fertilize these small business minority communities as well. Now, the program was developed, like I mentioned back, there's a lot of research that was done, and, just to share some numbers. So this is from 2014, 2016, but out of the 27.6 million small businesses that are out there in the United States, 8 million of them are minority-owned businesses. And those minority-owned businesses have been growing consistently at about an 11% rate in comparison to their non-minority-owned businesses counterparts, which have been growing at about 1%. However, 42% of these 8 million businesses have reported that they find difficulty obtaining credit, access to education and literacy and networking, in comparison to 29% of their non-minority counterparts. So this is the reason why BMO decided that they needed to do something about this to bridge this gap for minority-owned businesses. And this is why our program was created. So, just to quickly touch on the topics that are very important to us, our three pillars are access to capital. So making sure that we are being able to facilitate capital to our small businesses. So what we currently have is a working capital vehicle. So a revolving business line of credit up to $50,000. So this is really focusing on the micro lending side of things for our businesses. Our second pillar is access to education. So we conduct multiple hours of webinars, seminars, similar to today. We're going to be speaking with you guys here for an hour, but we do a lot of webinars, seminars, speaking engagements, and workshops internally and externally with some community partners that we work with as well. And the third pillar that we have here is something that my team and we hold very dear to ourselves, which is the access to better partnerships. So we form partnerships with nonprofit organizations to give you access to meaningful networks and alternative funding sources, particularly speaking with CDFIs, CDCs, and technical assistance groups that are out there specifically working with women-owned business, Black-owned business, Hispanic and Latino-owned businesses, and Native American-owned businesses. So what we're really trying to do here is create an ecosystem that can be utilized for you by you guys 100% of the time. May it be that you do get approved for our line of credit, or may it be that you do not get approved for our line of credit. That doesn't mean that our conversation ends there. If you guys do not get approved and we need alternative funding, we have trusted community partners and alternative lenders that we trust and we know very well, we've done our due diligence with, and they're not predatory, so they're going to be able to help you out with that lending that you need as well. Now, I wanted to jump over to understanding personal and business credit scores. And this is going to be very important because, every single bank has different requirements. There's, the industry standards. However, I want you guys to understand basically the industry and how BMO does business itself as well. So the first things first is really understanding what is a credit score. So a credit score is a 3-digit rating used by lenders, creditors, and insurers, also landlords and others to assess risk. So, this is, a credit score tells lenders how likely you are to repay your debt as well. So one thing that I want to touch on here, so your personal credit score. So what is your personal credit score? So personal credit scores are used to make decisions about the following. So I mentioned some right now, but mortgage, personal credit cards, if you want to finance a vehicle, you get an apartment, a personal line of credit, all of these things are part of they use your personal credit score. And in order to do that, you have to understand what your credit score ratings fall for. So they start at 300 and they go up to 800. Excellent, 800 plus, very good is 740 to 799, good 670 to 730, 739, fair, and then poor. And there's a lot of things that you can do also that can affect your credit score. However, the higher number, the better it is. And I would say this, industry standard, like just national average for the most part has been very consistent at around 650 to 675, give or take. So just to give you guys a perspective on how things look here as well. Now for your business credit score. So this ranges very differently. And to begin with, in order to assess this, if you have a new business or you have a business and you've never applied for a business credit, you most likely don't have a score on this. So this score ranges between between 0 to 100. And this helps you by to secure a business line of credit, a loan, leasing premises, vehicles, and equipment financing, buying commercial insurance, securing credit for suppliers. And also one thing that is not mentioned here, additional to this, is that if you were to go and try to get payroll services done or even merchant services through any major bank, typically they also run your credit. So they run your personal credit, and this helps you build your business credit as well. Now, what this does is it helps lenders assess the risk involved with extending credit to a company. So again, business loans, lines of credit, business credit cards. And the credit score is a very important thing, but it's one of many other factors that are involved with extending credit. And George is going to be able to talk to you guys about those later on as well. But here are some factors that do go into the business credit score. So how long have you had credit, if you've had any? Do you carry any balances? Do you miss payments? Are you maxing out regularly? Have you had any bankruptcies or any past dues? So those are things to look at as well. And the score is also based on the company credit history, financial stability, payment history, and your public records. So again, like I mentioned, if you've never applied for credits for business credit, it is important that you do so as soon as possible so you can start securing and improving your score. Now it goes from 0 to 100 here, but the score that's the bread and butter industry wide is 75. So if you have a 75 plus, typically that is what is needed to obtain business loans. Now, here's some ways that you can also improve your personal credit score. So use your personal line of credit or credit cards responsibly. So being able, and this is a big thing, like a credit card or a line of credit, it does not mean that it's free money for you. And that's a misconception that, I even had with my first credit card when I turned 18. Like, I didn't know how to use it because I was never taught. But, it's being able to use it responsibly. Don't use more than you can afford. Make sure that you always pay your bills on time or more often. If you make double payments throughout the month, that also helps you out. Never exceed your credit limit, or try your hardest not to. Limit the number of credit applications that you do throughout the year. Typically, if you do more than 5 within a year, it starts to look not that great when it comes down to borrowing credit later on down the road. And check your credit report regularly and dispute any errors. I can't stress this enough. I remember when I was in high school, one of our teachers made all of us pull our credit report before we were 18, and turned out that a couple of people in my class had a stolen identity. So making sure that you continuously check your credit report, I would say if you can do it on a monthly basis, more than you really should. And a way that you can do that is through my annualcreditreport.com. That's a website that I've been using, for over 15 years to check my credit reports on a regular basis, to make sure that there's nothing there that looks irregular. And if there is something, I will go ahead and dispute it right away. Now, some ways that you can improve your business credit score. So, I'm going to list 5 here for you. So improve your personal credits. Improve your personal credit scores, because lenders will look at both. So if you don't have a good personal credit score, that's going to affect the way that you can even borrow money, because most of the time, there's a personal guarantee, meaning that you will be personally responsible if all else fails. First things first, sign up for a business credit card. That's your gateway to building business credit, and that's short-term capital. So just use it as things go by. Buy supplies on a 30-day credit and pay it in full. Now, what does this mean? So if you net a net 30, that means that you're paying your vendor on their credit. So they're allowing you to extend things and not pay the day of. So you will get an invoice from them. And this is another way that you can additionally build some business credit as well. Watch how much of your credit, available credit, is being used. Make sure that you maintain things under, make sure that your utility does not go above 37%. Best practice right there. Make sure that you pay your bills on time. So very similar to the personal, making sure that you pay your bills on time. If you pay your rent, your utilities, all of this can affect your credit score if you're paying it digitally as well, because oftentimes they do require credits for this. So you want to make sure that anything that has touched your business or your personal credit is well taken care of at all times. Now, these are some places where you can find your personal credit score if you don't have, if you've never experienced this. So these are the 3 major credit bureaus. So Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Additional, you can also see all 3 under myfico.com. And typically, banks will use a blend of these. So I would, and here's a good thing too, like in order to prevent fraud or anything like that, all of these allow you to do credit blocks and credit freezes as well. So, additional to a deterrent to fraud, I would highly recommend that you guys do that as well if you guys don't do it already. Now, where can you find your business credit score? So here are the following bureaus that report to it. So Dun & Bradstreet, and here's the website for you guys: Equifax/business, Experian.com, and again, FICO Small Business Scoring Service at FICO.com. So these are all tools that you guys have available to you to continue to better understand what your business credit is, what your personal credit score is, and to keep an eye on it. Like just having credit and just going about your day is not always the best practice. It's something that you need to make sure you always have a line of sight on as well. And then I'll go ahead and pass it on to George.
Thank you, Angel. Again, appreciate you guys having us here today. I went ahead and initially just kind of touched on the topics that I was going to be talking today, but I forgot to introduce myself as to what I do. So with BMO, I'm a business relationship manager. I work here in the kind of Southeast LA area, covering branches in Downey, Cerritos, Santa Fe Springs. And I help clients with loan requests between $100,000 and then up to $1 million. And that comes from, not just helping when it comes time to submit the loan, but it also comes when we're preparing a client to apply for a loan, whether that's in 6 months or in 2 years, maybe, right? We try to take a more of a educational approach to help the clients that maybe right now aren't ready, but we start kind of planning ahead into kind of what some of the goals are and how they can set themselves up for, that goal in the future. So we're going to go ahead and go into the first slide here, if we may. Now, when applying for a loan, there are 5 C's of credit that banks look at, right? And these are important to understand because it gives you the perspective of what the bank will be looking at. Because we look at a loan request from all different angles, right? So it's important to understand what those angles are, right? Just so that, again, you put yourself in the best position to get the loan approved, get some favorable terms, and also to weigh your options, right, to get the best loan for you. Because it's always important too to not just take any loan, right, but also look around for different options that are available to you and your business. So the first one that we're going to dive into is going to be character. And with character, the main thing with character that we look at is it's going to be essentially tailored around credit score. Now, Angel did a great job in discussing why it's important to maintain your personal credit score and then establishing a business credit score. It's essentially the first thing we look at, one of the first things, at least, when you submit an application for a loan, one of the first initial things that we need is just a good or decent credit score, right? And that's very important on the personal side. Now, if a client can get started early and start establishing, like Angel had mentioned, a business credit card to start establishing at least some business credit, that just helps the application that much more as well. So it's important to obviously I think it goes without saying, to manage the personal credit. And then one great thing with BMO, specifically with the Zero Barriers to Business program that Angel was mentioning, is depending on people's situations, there's a lower criteria in that program as well. And that's something that we've kind of established to just help a broader range of clients that are looking for lending. So we'll go ahead and go into the next slide here, which is going to be capacity. So with capacity, this is essentially what we look at is how much money you make with the business or the business makes and how much you make you yourself personally. And we combine these two things. And what we get is we determine how much loan a client can get approved for, right? How much they can qualify for. As a bank, we want to make sure that we're not providing, too much that a client is in over their head, essentially. We want to make sure that the loan is appropriate to, the company size and what the client needs. So we start looking at, again, the income on the personal side and the business against any debts that the business has. So the more debts that a client has individually or maybe the business has, it makes it a little bit tougher sometimes. But all of these things are taken into account when looking at a client's capacity. And then we'll go ahead and go into the next slide here. All right, so next C that we have is capital. So with capital, banks like to see clients have a reserve, right? A reserve such as, money in a savings account, money invested, right, on the personal side, or a savings account on the business side. Essentially, it's just reassuring to banks that are going to, kind of loan money that the client has some reserves. Just set aside for a rainy day, things can change, month to month, year over year. So it's always good to have, just some money on the side to be able to, fall back on should something ever happen. And the banks, again, view that quite favorably. Now, after capital, the next C is going to be collateral that we look at when we're looking at lending requests. So collateral is, an asset used to secure a loan. One of the main ones is going to be real estate. So if a client's ever purchasing, a commercial property, we take the property as collateral. Other forms of collateral, include having when a client needs to purchase equipment, that piece of equipment can be used as collateral. And or for a credit line, sometimes we just do the receivables. We use that as the collateral. So it's always good to have collateral. I mean, we kind of as the requests start getting a little bit larger for lending, collateral essentially is required for most of those higher dollar loans. So it's one thing to keep in mind as well. Now with conditions, which will be the last C that we kind of look at here. With conditions, essentially current economic trends, kind of based on the industry that the client is in. One of the ways that, clients can stay prepared for this is just understanding what's going on in your industry, and, what you're doing essentially to combat that trend or whatever's going on. Essentially having a plan in place, right? Should something happen, take that into account when looking at a different lending requests depending on the industry. Now, so that'll cover the initial topic. The next one we're going to get into is just understanding the small business financing options. There's a few options that we have, and essentially the most of the options fall into two different categories. And then there's essentially different reasons depending on kind of what the client's looking for. You can be getting a loan for, starting a new business. If clients need working capital to help offset, cash back, if they're have a long time between their receivables, right? Having a credit line for working capital helps out a lot. If a client's looking to expand or looking into growth, that's another, reason why people would be looking for some credit. Or if just looking for a major purchase, right? Whether it's real estate, equipment, or whatever the case may be. And then we'll go ahead and go into the next slide there. So like I was mentioning, most credit products fall into one of two options. It's either going to be short-term financing, which in short-term financing, that's where we have, your business credit cards. That's where we have your business lines of credit, or overdraft protection lines. And then on the long-term side, that's where we have, the term loans for real estate, equipment, or clients that essentially need more of a lump sum of money up front and then just want a fixed payment each month for their loan. And we'll go ahead and go to the next one. Now, when you're exploring the different credit options, it's important to ask, now why do you need the money? How much do you need? Are you looking to have a lump sum up front, or are you looking to just kind of have it available in case you need it, right? That's where when talking to a banker, it's important that we have this dialogue just to understand which one would be kind of the best fit, provide our recommendation as well based on, the conversation that we have. Now, just kind of elaborating a little bit more on the short-term financing options. Business credit cards is a great way to cover just, day-to-day expenses, right? While helping to establish that business credit that's also important. The credit cards, give you that 30-day window essentially to be able to pay for something, right? And then have that 30-day window to pay it back, right? While giving you rewards as well. And if you have employees, right, giving them access to their own card as well, just to help keep track of everything and help run the business, right? Then we have the business line of credit, which is very popular with a lot of our clients. Line of credits, right? Again, just give you access to money that you can transfer to your checking account to help cover, payroll, any costs that come up, right? That maybe it's not expected. And again, it's just reassuring to have whenever, something should come up. And then the overdraft protection line, that's something that we offer here at BMO. Essentially, that is basically a line of credit that should, for example, a lot of things get paid from the checking account and it drops down to almost like a negative balance. The bank will go ahead and just cover that, those expenses, ensuring that one, they get paid. And then, once you get the money back, you just go ahead and pay back that credit line, that overdraft protection line. And then we'll go ahead and go into the next slide here, which is long-term financing options. So the long-term financial options, basically, it's a term loan. Anything from our real estate loans to our equipment financing, we categorize as a term loan, right? So you get the lump sum of money up front, and then you have the same essential monthly payment each month. So it provides just that clarity to understand what the client would be paying each month, right? And provides I would say, just another good option to look at as well. Now, for this one, I feel that we kind of touched on a little bit already a few slides ago, so we'll go ahead and skip this one here. And then here you'll just see some resources that we have. We're big on helping business owners from all walks of life, depending if they're women, minority owned. And there's some great resources that you'll find both on the Zero Barriers to Business and then just on bmo.com and going on the business banking side of things. So I think we're ready to open it up to questions, if you guys have any.
Awesome. Thank you, Jorge and Angel, for that great presentation. I know credit is always a good topic, especially me when I was doing taxes. That was the number one question I would get asked. How can I fix my credit? Fortunately and unfortunately, I kind of knew how to do it. I'm like, all I know is that whatever you got to do, whatever you spend, you got to make sure you can pay it back, but don't exceed X amount of your credit limit depending on where you're at.
Of course,
some
yeah,
of the
100%.
basic stuff that I did when I was buying my house.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
things you learn.
Yeah, one thing that we all like to do is a practice that we all have, which it's not the most recommended by banks, but it's something that we all do, myself included, is we try to do what we can and find the most expenses possible to reduce how much we're paying at the end of the year when it comes down to taxes, which can, at the end of the day, hurt us when it comes down to borrowing money, as we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a question here from Daniel. Thank you for joining us today. Does the ZBB program support ITIN holders, which is something big in our community?
Yeah, so yes, it does. So our program does support ITIN holders as long as they do not have a social security tied to their name. And if there happens to be any issues, we have a particular line with, if I'm not mistaken, it's Experian, where we can help resolve those for them as well. But yes, our program is available for ITIN holders.
Awesome. Thank you. And in addition to doing the presentation and the resources online, if you're going to be going to the fest, just a reminder, we moved up those dates, June 24th through the 27th. BMO is actually going to be there in the marketplace, which is basically our exhibit hall, and they would be in booth 603. So
Yes, sir.
just
So if you guys do come in, pop in, you'll find either George or myself there for you guys to dive deeper into questions that you may have, or if you're interested in one of the programs, that's where we can really get your information down.
Yeah, and if you can't find their booth, see me and I will be more than happy to walk you to their booth. I'm usually running around.
Is,
Um,
is, is that is that your role there? You're the host.
in the exhibit hall area, yes. And sometimes if you don't find me there, you'll find me in the registration area. And if you don't find me there, I probably came home already. No, I'm just kidding. I wish. Um, but right now, if you have any other questions for Angel or Jorge, feel free to submit them in whichever platform you're in, whether you're in Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Either one, we'll read them out to Jorge and Angel. Anything else that you'd like to cover that you probably didn't put in the presentation, but would be also very beneficial for business owners or for them to let their the companies that these tax professionals work with? Or
Let's
what would you give
see.
them as a tip, something that right off the bat?
Yeah, so let's start with this. So as a tip for this for the zero barriers to business for that program in particular, because like George mentioned, he deals with clients that do 100,000 plus in loans. My program deals with 50,000 and under in loans. So our parameters in the bank are slightly different. So maybe we can cover that right now, George. So for the zero barriers to business program, it's an expanded credit program. So we expanded our credit risk box, meaning that, and maybe you guys understand what this means or maybe not, but credit risk goes from 1 through 8. Typically, standardly, banks try to stay away from 6, 7, and 8s. However, under our program, we are extending credit to those if it makes sense. Again, every bank, just like BMO, we are cash flow lenders. Under zero barriers to business, our bottom line cash flow that's required to be eligible for our program is 1.1 that cash flow. So global cash flow is 1.1. So a business needs to have a 1.1 cash flow in order to be considered for this program. George, I don't know, you want to go ahead and speak on what it takes to be considered under standard lending, which is what you normally deal with.
Yeah, so I would just to kind of touch on the ZBB a little bit more. I think one of the things that's super important, having worked in like other institutions as well, and then coming over to BMO, is that if a bank couldn't do a loan or just couldn't help a client with a particular request that they were looking for, a lot of times it's just a no, and they're kind of left on their own to figure it out after that. And I think one thing that I love about BMO that I have always kind of incorporated myself in helping our clients is we try to provide them resources, right? Where we look at what we can do, right, at first and foremost. And if it's not something that we can necessarily help with, then folks like Angel and within our organization as well, we have resources and other places that we can send them to that we have all the confidence in the world would be able to help them out as well, right? Um, Obviously, nothing's a guarantee as well, but we try to find, again, just solutions for the clients as well. And I think, one of the things that I do on my end, of course, helping with the lending requests, obviously with standard lending, my cash flow or the debt service coverage needs to be a little bit higher, right? Kind of standard stuff at 1.25, right? For every dollar we give up, we lend out. But again, one of the things that I think, pride ourselves on is in having the entire relationship, right? Not just necessarily helping with the lending requests, but also with deposits. So, I don't just necessarily help with the loans. I also help, bring clients over by having them have their business accounts here, their money market savings, right? And what I do on my end is provide that kind of personalized service to them, right? Where if they need anything, have a question, I'm their direct point of contact, right? And I have the full force of BMO behind me, right? But I'm kind of that face that just, I am BMO to that client, essentially, right? It's my job to make sure that we're meeting their standards for the most part. And then, of course, trying to exceed that whenever possible, right? So I think, again, we try to work hard in our communities to, to be helpful, provide resources, be informative, right? And then just be there when it matters, and, on just day-to-day stuff as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jorge. So we do have a couple more questions that came in. So one of them is from Bianca, and the question is, do you guys have any programs for women-owned businesses?
Yeah, so under zero barriers to business, it is there is a women included in there. So I'll repeat it again. So we focus on women-owned business, Hispanic and Latino-owned business, Black-owned business, and Native American-owned businesses. So within this program, you're able to qualify for us. And the thing that you guys get through the program, like I mentioned, we have our cash flow requirement is slower than what George has mentioned under the standard lending. On top of that, we have a competitive rate. So by signing up through our program, if you identify as a woman, you sign up through the program, you get your loan, you get a discount on the rate as well. So you can get up to 75 basis points off. On top of that, because it's an expanded credit risk, we did also lower our FICO score. And George, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but usually under standard lending, it's about a 650 plus, maybe 680. Under zero barriers to business, we dropped it down to 617. So, I mean, those are some of the benefits that you get on top of that. And I didn't share this earlier, but starting for next year, because it just ended. So we just ended our Celebrating Women in Business grant program. So it was we had a portal that was open from April 30th till the 14th of this month. So it's a grant that we do on a yearly basis. We allocate $150,000 to go around the entire footprint of the bank, and we allow any women-owned business that's been in business for more than 2 years, so 24 months plus, to go ahead and apply for this grant. There is a video submission that needs to take place, but this year we did it for, like I mentioned, we're going to have 15 recipients, so $10,000 was going to go out to each one of them. Right now, we're going through the judging process of things, but just to give you guys a understanding, for nationwide, we were shooting for about 5,000 applicants. We got 4,300 roughly. So I mean, next year we're aiming to get a lot more people apply for the loan, not the loan, sorry, for the grant that we do have available here for women-owned businesses.
Cool.
And then one last thing to mention also, sorry to interrupt you there,
No worries.
So a big thing that I like about our program is that, yes, it's a program that's directed for minority-owned businesses. I listed those already. However, we're going to be expanding to Asian-owned business, LGBTQ-owned business, and veteran-owned business sometime in the early Q4. But on top of that, you don't need to be certified as a minority-owned business or women-owned business, Black-owned business, Hispanic or Latino-owned business anywhere. All you need to do is self-identify as one of those, and you're eligible for our program, as long as you meet the other requirements. So we don't need a certification by the state, or it's not going to cost you money to be certified to apply to our program.
Perfect. Thank you, Angel. And we do have another question that came in from Daniel. Thank you for being active today. The question is, from a documentation perspective, do both programs require the same paperwork? For example, how many years of tax returns would each program need for underwriting?
Yeah, so for zero barriers to business, we do the very similar to standard lending. It's 2 years of tax returns that are normally needed. If you're new to our bank, so that means that if you became a member of BMO Bank or a client of BMO Bank within the last 6 months, additional to that, we're going to also need 2 months of bank statements from your previous bank, so we can measure the transactions and the cash flow that you have going on there. And just on top of that, it's just the 4506C, which, if everybody in the audience is a tax preparer, you guys know that that's just to collect the transcripts of the tax returns, just so we can verify that what's being given to us matches. George, I don't know if I missed anything else there, but I think that basically will cover the due diligence that we need for the loans.
It's actually going to be the same, on our end. 2 years worth of business and personal tax returns, and the same documents that Angel alluded to as well.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, everybody, for participating. I don't see any other questions. And either in the platform, Robert says, can't wait to meet you and the team at the fest.
Awesome. No, hey, please come say hi to us, shake our hand. I'm gonna be walking around a little bit too, so if you do see me, I'll probably try to wear something similar to this so that you guys can identify who I am. If you guys don't can't remember my face, but no, please do say hi to us and stop at our booth.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was at an event in Orlando, and they're like, "Oh, I was wearing I believe it was a blue blazer." Um, and they're like, "Oh, what company are you with?" And I was thinking maybe I should buy myself an orange one. I'd probably be easier to spot that way. But then
Yeah,
again, I don't know if that's really what I want. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, everybody's gonna
But
be there.
yeah, they'll
Yeah,
be like, "Oh, there he is! Get him!" No, I'm just kidding. But it's always fun. The fest is fun. I know it's gonna be your guys' first time there. It's gonna be amazing. A lot of the our attendees are eager and always ready for their next business solution, and also bringing these solutions back to their own customers. So we're definitely excited to have you guys there and all these opportunities that you guys bring to the table. And if you can't find a solution for them, at least you guide them where to go, which is amazing, and I love that. It's part of the helping part that I personally love.
no, exactly. And this is the first time that BMO joins, but as I mentioned to Robert and I think you as well, this is going to be my third time going to the fest. This is going to be my first
Hmm,
time as an exhibitor.
it is an
I've been
exhibitor.
there before as a, just somebody that's checking it out, trying to, get
As a
some
guest.
business as well. So, yep.
As a guest.
So now I get to be on the other side of the table.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's fun. We definitely have those mixtures. Those are great way to start Monday. Just as a reminder to everybody, or if you've already been there, or if it's your first time, we have a meet and greet on Monday from 5 to 7, and it's actually a great way to kickstart and start making connections throughout the week. I know of personally know of people that been there for their first time ever and connected with other people and just kind of hung out the whole week. So it's a great event, great networking. Angel, correct me if I'm wrong. It's a great way to also, depending on additional service that you may be connecting with, and
Yeah,
get a business or a business relationships for that matter.
100%. Going to this, made my year back when I was in sales before myself. So I was able to build some great connections, some centers of influence within the tax preparer community in the Bay Area and Southern California that I had. So yeah, no, definitely, this is a great tool for all of us to network and be able to learn from each other.
Yeah, definitely. So at this point, I don't see any more questions on either of the platforms. Did you guys have any closing remarks before we end this webinar?
Now, again, I just want to thank you and the Latino Tax Pro team for helping us set this up with you guys. And whoever's in the audience, I don't know the attendance, but whoever is in the audience, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and whatever platform you did join us. And I hope that I get to see you guys at the fest.
Uh, Mr. George?
Same here. I appreciate everyone that took time out of their day to be with us today. Hopefully, you guys will be able to stop by our booth. I think I'll be the only one there. If Angel's going to be walking around, um, it'll just be me. But I look forward to connecting with the rest of the members that will be attending the fest. And can't wait.
Yeah, definitely. No,
So
we're
thanks.
we're excited. This is our 11th year. Last year was our 10th. We did a lot of stuff, and this year we're doing our theme is the year of growth for those people that still haven't seen our marketing. It's kind of hard to miss it, but if you haven't heard about it, this is the year of growth. This is why I'm a little bit more excited to have a BMO there, or BMO as you guys call it,
Yeah, yes, sir.
be out there and bring this growth opportunities. Not just for themselves, but also, as I mentioned, for their business owners to guide them and let them know that these are their solutions out there. So I'm excited for that. I gotta do Gotta get ready. I have my growth shirt, which I probably should have worn today, but it doesn't fit anymore. Been growing in not the right way.
Oh man, it's summer.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, hopefully it still fits. But other than that, thank you everybody for joining us today. We'll definitely stop by booth 603, which is where you can find Jorge and Angel. Also at the meet and greet, if you guys can make it out there, it'll be amazing and great to start connecting with everybody beforehand. Again, I will be there. Even if I didn't want to be there, I have to be there. No, I'm just kidding. I enjoy it. I enjoy being there. So, if there's any other questions, this is recorded, so you guys can go back to Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube and replay it. And if you have any questions, submit them, and we'll make sure that Angel or Jorge gets a hold of you guys. We'll find a way. But well, there's a
Awesome.
will, there's a way. All right.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Angel and Jorge. It's been great sharing screen with you guys today. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day and a great is it 3-day weekend, I think?
Yes, it
3-day
is.
weekend. Yep.
Have a great
Yeah.
weekend. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.